We're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bearded Men of Real Estate Show. I'm Ray. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
And this is Dan, and we are two parts of the show, the Bearded Men of Real Estate, broadcasting in three separate places. You can watch us on Facebook, as most of you normally do, or YouTube, as some of you normally do, and brand new, actually not brand new, we also did it last week, we are also broadcasting on Clubhouse. So you can join us there. We have a room there. We also have some links in my Instagram profile at Ray Zorback. You can find that and just click the link in the Clubhouse and join us there. So thank you guys for joining us in the show. I'm excited about today's show. We got a lot of good, interesting things to talk about. Good segue, Dan. We also have, as you saw something flash across the screen as producer Matt starts to get some of the show ready, for the first time ever, Matt will be producing the show. So previously I've been like running the show and I've been hitting all the buttons on the sharing the screen and stuff like that. But one of the things we realized is that if we wanted to also produce this show using Clubhouse, I don't have enough hands. And so we do want
we finally figure out how to get Ray to run out of hands. He's literally been doing everything. I just sit here and go, hey, Ray, hit that button. And he does it.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. But now we found a way by adding another stream.
That's right. Another live stream. So we do have a bunch of articles to talk about. We're going to talk about, you may have noticed the thumbnail, which in my opinion is always an amazing thumbnail. Good work, Matt, on that as well. But we're going to talk about December pending home sales. We're going to talk about Americans flocking to the suburbs. And we're going to talk about mortgage financing, creating a surge, inventory, all-time low. But our question is, will the work from home trend outlast the pandy? And as you know, some of you who are longtime listeners of the show, we don't say the word because if you say the word, you get suppressed by all the social media outlets because they don't want you spreading nothing. So especially the question of the day for realtors out there everywhere, and we'll be adding some of you guys in the Clubhouse to the show as we go along. But the question of the day is, will the work from home trend that we're seeing now and the move to the suburbs outlast the pandy? When everything is quote unquote back to normal, will people still want to work from home, and will companies go that direction?
And can I add something to that? If you're sitting there, most likely if you're on Clubhouse or anywhere, if you can run your numbers, because we have some, in my opinion, some very harrowing national statistics. Usually I run just my numbers, or Ray will run his or whatever, but now there's a story based on national inventory, and it's concerning, a little bit concerning.
Yeah. We're going to play limbo with the inventory there.
How low can it go?
Let's see. Christian Harris, he's chiming in through Facebook. He says there's about a 17-second delay from the very live Clubhouse audio to the semi-live Facebook video. Just FYI. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Well, you guys need to know we're very, very controversial off the air. So we run a 17-second delay. And so that's why it seems like we're family friendly, but we are not at all.
Yeah, dump button. Clubhouse is getting the whole kit and caboodle here.
Yeah, good times.
We also have some comments from Facebook. Melissa Marr, she joins the show and says, quote unquote, normal. She also says, hey, bearded beauties. Hello. And Dan Matt said, yes, then no. So will the work from home thing outlast? He said yes, and then no. So I guess and we'll get more to your comments later, Dan, so be sure to stay tuned because I want a larger discussion. There's one more thing that we're going to talk about, a $15,000 home buying credit. Is that going to help or hurt? So that's the second part of the question of the day that we'd love some feedback on and to hear your 2 cents. But Dan, before we get into all these questions and before we bring up some of these commenters straight from Clubhouse, could you tell me what this show is actually all about in case I was confused?
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard this before, Ray. Only for what, the 130th time? I don't even know what episode we're on.
132nd episode.
132nd episode.
Second.
We've done 132 episodes, dude. That's amazing. All right. So when Ray and I met here on the interwebs about 4 years ago, I had an idea for a show because I am, in fact, if you can't tell, if you're on Clubhouse, maybe you don't know me, but I am, in fact, a bearded man of real estate. And when I met Ray, I noticed something very, very interesting about him.
Oh, yeah? What was it?
He roller skates everywhere. Did you guys know that about him? Literally everywhere. That's how he gets to appointments, on roller skates in Central Arkansas.
That's right. Watch out, Tay. I'm coming for you.
Right.
If any of you have missed Tay DeCarlo, you need to tell her that the real estate sent me to watch you roller skate, girl.
It's so good. She's doing amazing stuff. If you don't know Taya, follow her. She's on a roller skating journey.
Yes.
But no, obviously Ray doesn't roller skate to all of his appointments, but I also noticed he had a beard and he had a layout for the show. It's the same format we use today, but also noticed that he loves giving value up front to not only his clients, but to humans. So the show is about being more as an agent, but also being more as a human.
There you go. And part of what we believe is being more is that the rising tide lifts all boats. So that if we can help other agents understand some of the information that we covered today and some of the news topics, and they can communicate that to the consumers, and then we all kind of get better together. So also there have been some topics that we've needed listener help on, that we've asked you guys like, hey, this has come up. We don't have a full grasp or understanding of it. Help us, walk us through it. And so that's been super helpful in the past too, just to get agents from around the country talking about some of these topics. And now more than ever via Clubhouse. So.
And it's so cool to be able to, because we have these conversations, if you're not knowledgeable on current events and current articles in real estate, that's what we're here for. But we also, Ray and I just noticed we have these conversations all the time with our clients. So we did a show around it. And then it's extra cool to have all you guys commenting and to hear just kind of, it's just an added bonus, added value to kind of say, hey, I have a friend in New Jersey who is seeing this. It's just kind of interesting. And it's really cool to have you guys here with us as well. So thank you.
There you go. And if you are listening to us via Clubhouse and I do make you a speaker, be sure to mute your microphone, because if I have it unmuted at the time, your voice will come straight through to the podcast. But if you want to say something about one of the topics that we're talking about and you're in Clubhouse, just flash your mic on and off, and then I will bring you up to talk. So that's kind of our sign. So, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Literally doing something that no one else has even thought about. And Ray and Matt put this together, and now we're doing it.
Yeah, last week I think we were the first podcast to cast live on Clubhouse and have a podcast and Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah.
And since then, I've heard a couple of other podcasters kind of figure it out and figure out the technical. This is a lot simpler setup than I had last week, though. So I'm really happy about this setup too. So
yeah,
we will see how it goes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, are you ready to get into the show?
Yes.
Let's do it. Everyone on Clubhouse is like, what was that? That was magical.
What are they doing?
That's our transition, guys. We are now officially in the headlines. And as we get to the headlines, if you've watched all this banter and you're like, man, I wish I did not have to watch all this banter, I would say subscribe to our YouTube channel. We cut up every one of these articles that we talk about and then release them in something called BMORE Chops. Get it? Bearded Men in Real Estate Chops. Then we also will have this live broadcast there sitting for you with all of the articles that we're talking about linked up at the bottom of the page and with a timestamp. So you can click that timestamp and scoot right to that article.
So if you hate us but love the content, there you go.
Ramsey Stewart joins us via Facebook chat and says, F feelings. Melissa Vara said, no, it won't help. It'll just back up lenders. So she's commenting, which we will get to later, Melissa. She's commenting on Joe Biden's plan. Let's see. She said, I thought it was scooters. Adam Johnson said, Ray, did you get new glasses? No, I didn't. But I think the pink from the background, if you guys are watching live, is kind of reflecting on them for the first time. So
because they're the same, but you can really see the pink in that eyelet there.
That's right. And Melissa Mara agreed. She says, but the beards were first. We were the first to do the podcasting. So thank you guys for joining the show. We'd appreciate it. If you are watching this live, be sure to share the show. I cannot put that in the comments because if I put that in the comments, again, Facebook, YouTube, everybody's like, oh, you can't beg for shares in the comments. But I can beg via audio. So if you are watching, you enjoy what we're going to be talking about, be sure to share the show. That way more people get to see it. All right. Without further ado, that's French. Let's get into the first article.
That is French. Good job, buddy.
December pending home sales drop as buyers face record high prices. So this article comes to us from CNBC. Record low supply, which we'll talk about more a little bit later, has stifled home buying as buyers signed fewer contracts to buy existing homes in December. They fell 0.3% according to the National Association of Realtors, which is the fourth straight month of declines. Is this an indicator of holiday pullbacks? Normally we see some kind of seasonal variation in home sales. Is that an indicator of this? Or is this something more sinister? Pending home sales themselves were still 21.4% higher than December 2019. And it was the highest reading on record. Pending home sales contract. Oh, this is a quote from Lawrence Yun, his NAR's chief economist. I'd love to have you on the show, Lawrence, if you're checking in. He said pending home sales, pending home sales contracts have dipped during recent months, but I would attribute that to having too few homes for sale. Again, the inventory situation, which we're going to get to more later. Quote, there's a high demand for housing and a great number of would-be buyers, and therefore sales would rise with more new listings. The median price of a home sold in December based on closed sales was nearly 13% higher than December of 2019. And it's the highest December price that realtors have ever recorded. Dun, dun, dun.
And was he the one that predicted we're 3.8 million or about 3 million active listings short? Was he the one that predicted that last week?
Yeah, basically a shortfall of inventory in that amount.
3 million homes short.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because things keep selling. We're 0.3 less inventory than a year ago, but we're up, what was it, 21%? That's not a great trend.
We're up 21% since December 2019. Prices are up 13%. So it doesn't fall exactly in line.
Yeah, and I don't know what you're seeing, in case you guys don't know, Ray is in central Arkansas and I'm here in Southern California. But for us, what we're seeing, we're seeing 10 to 20 offers average on every single listing.
Yeah.
So that means there's 9 to 19 buyers or, whatever averages you guys have that are missing out on homes that need to go find another one.
Yeah. And they're saying had we had that inventory, we would have sold more homes. I think I believe that. But there is traditionally a little bit of a holiday pullback.
Well, we're still on a delay. Remember, there was that 2-month kind of period of uncertainty that should have been the spring warming up into summer, and that was kind of slow, and then it sped up after the summer. So is it still that delay from almost a year ago, or is now this we caught up and now we're in the holiday delay?
Yeah, well, and housing starts, they are up a little bit, but costs are still high, and we'll get to some of that. Mike Elizabeth Brodell checks in, and she or he says, so more homes are being sold, just not enough to keep up with demand. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
More homes are being sold compared to last year, but not enough to keep up with demand.
And then remember, the average mortgage amount is now $394. I think. What was that last week? I think it's $394.
Right.
Oof.
Homes are higher than ever before. All right. Well, let's see. Let me check the Clubhouse here. Do any of you guys want to comment on that topic? Christian, Matt, you want to add your two? Okay. Nope. They're not blinking their mics. So I'm going to.
No one's blinking their mics. They don't have much to say about
Robert's
it. But yeah,
I'm going to invite Robert to speak. I have no idea who you are, Robert.
Let's go.
Let's see. Robert is he's a father, IT guru, author. Oh, that's cool. Blogger, photographer, worship leader. There you go.
So he's a bloodtographer.
There you go. He's got a lot going on. If you're a consumer, Robert, I'd love to hear your opinion on this market too. Okay. Ready to hit the next article?
Yeah. People are fleeing California. Oh, wait, that's not the. That's just me being salty, I guess. But Americans are flocking to the suburbs. Here's how much you need to earn to buy a house. So this one, Ray will bring it up, and then I think I still have the article up. So I want to go through a kind of graph here because it does break down pretty much every state, I believe, and kind of how much you need to earn to buy a house. So as the Rona, we call it the Rona because, again, you cannot say it. IT. As the Rona and rise of remote work pushed Americans to move from the city to the suburbs, those who could afford a single-family home have been able to leverage historically low interest rates to build equity and net worth. And many are doing just that. During 2020, the homeownership rate jumped roughly 67%, up nearly 3% from a year earlier, after remaining largely flat for a decade. So more people are buying, and there's less inventory than ever. Are you guys seeing a trend here? And by the way, if you haven't seen the thumbnail for the show, this is the article that
yes,
that inspired Ray's amazingness.
part one of the article.
Yeah. Along with the records, let's see, but high demand for housing, along with a record low supply of homes for sale, has also caused a sharp spike in home prices, shutting others out entirely. The Rona-induced run on housing has fueled an affordability problem for many of those would-be buyers, despite mortgage rates near the lowest levels ever. Now, homes in many states require a salary larger than buyers' current median income. So here's a look. If you want to bring that up, Ray, I'm going to go to it as well. But the average, this is how much it takes to afford the average home in each state with a nationwide median home price of $346. So Ray's got it up. Let me find where I put it. Where did I put it? There we go. So it kind of breaks down like the lighter colors on the screen. It probably looks almost white, but the light blue is 30 to 39K all the way to the dark blue, which is 80 plus K. So Washington, California, Hawaii, Colorado, Massachusetts are all in that 80 plus. And then you have Alaska. That's surprising. Alaska's in the 70 to 79K a year range.
Wow.
Is that surprising, or is that just me?
I think that's surprising.
And then you have
rural. I guess you got to get, you got to pay a little more because it's so rural, right?
I guess maybe it like costs to get get utilities out to the home. I don't know what it would be, but if you go to Arkansas where Ray's at, he's in the 30 to 39K range. Now you kind of got to remember too, like when you live in California, it's
before you get into the details, before you get too much of the details about this, let me preface for those listening in the audio on Clubhouse. What we're looking at is kind of like a makeshift map. It's kind of got where the states are, and then it's color coding them based on this price range of how much you'll need to earn before you can purchase a home in those various areas. Of course, California's high. Of course, some on the East Coast are high, but there's a couple in the middle. I guess, Colorado makes sense. A high vacation area. Hawaii makes sense. And so that's what he's talking about whenever he's saying, 70 to 75K or whatnot. We have a bunch of people
per year income
kind of around the country, so we can also get some of their opinions too, if you guys want to. And Kirk, I actually added you as a speaker, but you'll have to accept that so that you can say something there too. But we'll come to you guys in just a second because I want to get some of your opinions on home prices in your area and how much people need to earn to buy them. All right, go ahead. Sorry, Dan.
That's okay. That's a great point. I'm totally being inconsiderate of our Clubhouse listeners. And I'm kind of doing it on purpose, but anyway, I'm just kidding. You got to remember too, like when you work in, Southern California, the what you get paid is usually adjusted up because the cost of living is higher here, taxes and things, and the cost of living in Arkansas is a little lower. So I think there's a sliding scale for that, I would assume. But you can see the stark difference just between Arkansas and California, in the 30 to 39. By the way, California is 80 plus grand. So that could mean 200 grand a year, depending on what, you want to afford. But that 80 plus is a little ambiguous, meaning it's just kind of it's an open-ended number,
So how is that New York? Is it the same?
Yeah. New York, New Jersey are both 80 plus. Massachusetts,
Washington, Colorado, Hawaii.
Oregon is just a little bit lower, but Colorado and Washington and California and Hawaii, which makes sense. Hawaii, I wouldn't think so because it's an island, but you kind of brought up the vacation-y desired area, or desired climate and all that stuff.
So let's bring up a couple of Clubhouse listeners and see kind of what things are going, where they're from. So if you're in Clubhouse, I'll call your name, just unmute yourself. Tell us where you're from and what home prices, or I guess what someone needs to earn in your area, roundabout what you're seeing in order to purchase a home. We'll go to Christian first because he flashed his mic. What's up, Christian?
Hello, gentlemen, listeners. Yes, I'm in Seattle. The median sale price last month I think was $739. And I'd say that article you guys are sharing with the 80,000 plus income is necessary. yeah, I mean, I make a decent living, but I mean, I'm still in the comfort level of like a $500 house, which still sounds kind of ridiculous to me, but it's not uncommon for me to be, we'll go on walks in nice neighborhoods and looking on Zillow, and I'm just like, what do these people do for a living that they can afford these houses? I mean, it's a little crazy in my opinion.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself there. Yeah. I totally agree. Whenever you're, well, you got to also remember, Christian, some of those estimates aren't right. But
Yeah.
that's beside the point. Still, those super nice, you kind of wonder, like, I'm always amazed at how much money there is out there. And it's kind of encouraging for me because I'm like, oh, wow, there's a lot to be made and a lot of people that can do things to make a lot. But yes, I totally agree. Let's go to Olivia. Tell us who you are, what market you serve, and what you're seeing about average incomes and average home prices there.
I feel like I should Photoshop a beard onto my face right now.
It's required.
Which is an hour north of Christian, and home prices have been increasing 8% the last 4 years, 8% a year. Right now in Bellingham, our average home price is $650, where like 2 years ago it was $400. So it's been really interesting to watch, and there's a lot of people coming from Seattle or California or the East Coast. I mean, people are coming here out of all over because I think the opportunities in the cities don't matter because everyone's working remote. So everyone is moving here because they want to live here. So it's been a really strange thing to watch happen.
That's cool. And you're from Bellingham, where again?
Bellingham, Washington. It's an hour and a half north of Seattle.
Oh, there you go. So you and Christian are kind of in the same boat there too. Let's see, Kirk. I approved you to speak, so you can say something if you want to. I know that like sometimes like people will raise their hand and I'll approve, like, yeah, you can say something, but then on their side they also have to say, okay, I know I raised my hand, but now really, like, let me say something. So I don't know. But Marcus necessary is in the house. He is in Northwest Arkansas, and if he's available to speak, I'd love to get his opinion on what's happening in his area. Marcus? Maybe he's not readily available. Okay, no big deal. Oh, here he is.
Hey, yeah. So Northwest Arkansas, I mean, we're seeing median sales prices in the 220 range. I mean, we're seeing 10% increase year over year. Average prices in the 270 range. So, I mean, we've been seeing 10, 12% annual increases for the last probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, Northwest Arkansas has been booming. When I was there, I started real estate there in 2007, and we had something called the California effect because Walmart had told all of the vendors, if you expect to carry a product in our store, you need a vendor here locally. And so we had all the folks moving from California looking around and saying, wow, if you could buy that for $250,000 and look at what you can buy for $500,000. And they were just like enamored that you could buy a castle for $1 million, right? So it's a totally different situation than California, but the Northwest Arkansas prices have been steadily increasing since it recovered from the crash. I mean, it's been going up and away. In Central Arkansas, our average price point is somewhere. I mean, if you look at all of Central Arkansas, even the rural areas, it's still around the 180s, 190s. But if you just look at the city of Little Rock, our average was somewhere around, I think it was 230, 240, somewhere in that range. So it's not that far off actually from Northwest Arkansas in the more populated areas. I want to bring up a couple of commenters. And then we'll get back to you guys in the Clubhouse for the next segment too. But Mike Elizabeth Brodell says, I think Arkansas is a false average or present a false perspective on the consumer side. If you're looking to live very rural, then you can buy very cheap. But I have buyers that come here from other states and they'll get very frustrated when city prices are more expensive than they anticipated. I mean, still cheaper than California, Colorado, but not as cheap as folks think they are. Yeah, I think on the opposite side of that,
400 grand. What?
Yeah, you do have people coming here. They're like, "You guys wear shoes?" Like, yeah, okay, that's offensive. so
not
those
while I'm
folks,
taking a drink of my tea. Dude.
Yeah, so those folks are surprised that we have nice things. And if you're coming with that perspective, I think you'll be shocked at what we have to offer here. But we got some Amazon stuff opening up. There's a lot happening, so prices are still going up in our area.
Yeah.
All right, good article.
Well, I just wanted to, so for our numbers, the one when I hit the national averages on numbers and stuff, I did a bigger search than Rancho, but for this one I did Rancho. So right now actives, we don't have very many, but our average right now just on actives, obviously these aren't closed, but it's 863 is the average asking price right now.
Wow.
Oh, cool. Let's block that guy. Nice.
Omar, that was quick, Matt. Thanks. I was
Nice
gonna display it so we can make fun of him, but okay.
Yeah,
whatever.
Omar. Yeah. So I think it's a little bit kind of how she says. I think Arkansas is a false average. So we have $1 million listings here as well in Rancho. So I think that skews it up. But we have a lot in the 4 to 650 range, not necessarily available now, but we have a great solid kind of mid-range market, but it's being skewed up a little bit right now because there's a lot of luxury that's sitting.
Your mid-range is like 150 to 250 in ours.
That's kind of ours. Yeah. My average is 4 to 6.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about mortgage refis. Matt Clanton. The producer Matt says, "I've got lightning hands." Yes, that was very fast. He blocked. Yeah, and folks, he blocked a spammer in our chat. Already.
Much. It might have taken Ray another half a second last week because he's lacking a third arm. But
that's true. Yeah,
we're lucky to have Matt this week.
All right, so let's talk about mortgage refinancing. It suddenly surges, but homebuyers stall. And the article from CNBC says it's due to sticker shock. I've always wanted to have like a stock image photo on CNBC with my name and contact information on it just to see if somebody actually calls. I don't know if you can scroll up to that, but I mean, is anyone going to call Jack Conway, realtor?
Yeah.
Conway.com. We should all say, hey, man, we saw your photo on. Anyway, all right, let's keep going.
Where's the hair? While you're going, I'm going to
go to jackconway.com. Let's check him out. All right. Mortgage rates fell for the first time in nearly a month, and they're saying it lit a fire under applications. So applications to refi did jump 11%. Demand was 59% higher than a year ago. And the refinance share of the mortgage activity was 71%. Now, some of you may remember a couple of months ago where the refinance share was only 30 or 40%. Now it's jumped all the way up to 71%. As you know, the mortgage refi is very sensitive to changes in rate. So it is possible that you had a lot of people that were starting to apply for a refi. Lender was like, I got a feeling it might go down a little bit. Let's wait a second. Boom, it goes down and bam, they refi. So that's why you see that sudden increase as soon as rates drop. So the conforming loan balance is $510,000 or less. It decreased to 2.92% from 2.95%. So it's a 0.3% decrease. Points were unchanged, 0.32% for loans with a 20% down payment. So I'll get to this quote from Joel Kahn. He's the Mortgage Bankers Association Associate Vice President of Economist and Industry Forecasting. It says economist. Oh, economist. Okay, not economist.
Economist.
Okay, whatever. So the 1 week reversal in the recent upswing in rates drove an increase in both conventional and government refinance activity as borrowers continue to lock in these historically low rates. He goes on to say that the Mortgage Bankers Association Refinance Index hit its highest level since March of 2020. Applications to purchase a home were essentially flat.
Really?
Highest level since March of 2020.
That's crazy to me because they were low, but then they went lower all year.
Right.
So I guess, yeah.
I just saw some of these comments coming in. Sorry, it's a little bit of delay, Ramsey. I'm seeing your comments too. I'll put those up there in just a second about the previous article, but we'll kind of mix those two in, I guess you could say. Mortgage applications to purchase home were essentially flat, rising just 0.1%. Purchase demand was still 16% higher than a year ago. So overall purchase demand, which is different from the existing home sales that we covered earlier. So overall purchase demand is up. Rates are flat and refis are way up, to summarize. All right. So I do want to cover some of these. Ramsey Stewart said, I'm slinging $120,000 homes in his area. What area are you in again, Ramsey? He says, and we're only seeing 2 to 3K over asking on popular homes. Wow. Like investors should totally reach out. Adam Johnson said, Duluth, Minnesota area, median income 55K, median home price 205K. 90K people 6 listings between 150,000 and 250,000. Wow.
6
listings.
And I did rerun closed numbers for Rancho, and our average is 686, so it's lower than the 8 something.
Adam says in the Superior area, median, that's kind of braggadocious. In the Superior area, median income is 48,000 and median home price is 145. That's interesting. So
3.
Yeah, 3 homes between 80,000 and 200,000.
I think they're having an inventory issue.
But mortgage applications are still 11% higher. So people are still applying for loans. Maybe not finding the home that they're looking for at the time, though.
Yeah. And I wonder, because I have clients that just kind of decided to wait. They still have a lease in place. Pre-approved. We've actually looked at a couple homes, but they realized, like, we got to go. There you go. He's in Missouri.
Ramsey is in Lebanon, Missouri, Lake of the Ozarks.
And a fun statistic or a fun stat about Ramsey. He's actually the subject of Ozark, the show.
Yeah. If you've never watched
so
that.
Jason Bateman plays him. This is all before he was an agent. It's kind of a crazy story if you guys didn't know that about him.
It's actually like he play his part is that real estate agent guy whose mom was helping him. That's actually built on Ramsey.
That's actually based on
That's based on Ramsey. Good job, Ramsey.
Nice work. You are a character, an idea based on a show. There's zero truth to that, by the way.
That's fun, though. All right, so this is kind of a perfect segue into our next article. So why don't we go ahead and cover that part? I think I have to bring it up. It is at Inman, so I'll bring that up for you. Inman requires a membership, or you got to get behind a paywall. I'll share my screen and bring it up, Matt. Thanks.
Or you just have to have a very good friend of the show that helps you out. Thank you.
There you go.
U.S. inventory plunges to an all-time low. And it's always interesting to read these stories. How do I say this, Ray, and keep it bipartisan? It's just interesting to read the stories because we've done the show under one president and now we're under a second one. So keep that in mind when we read through these stories, just the tone behind them. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
And I am from California. The stereotype holds up. I'm just saying it's interesting. Anyway, homes for sale in rural areas across the nation plunged 44.4% year over year during the 4 weeks ending January 21st, driving an all-time low in active listings, according to a new report from Redfin. I always think it's funny, by the way, as I was reading this, anytime I'm like, that's a cool stat. According to Redfin, Trulia, Zillow, I always kind of go, oh, okay, well, we'll still do it, I guess. But it's just because Redfin is like, I don't know. I mean, they get a lot of info, but it's their info. It's not National Association of Realtors where they're calling from many different sources. It's Redfin. Anyway, this week's Shade brought to you by send us a sponsor. Homes for sale in suburban areas also fell significantly by 38.4% compared to the same period of the year before. The brokerage, meaning Redfin, said the substantial drop in supply of homes for sale in both of these areas, but particularly the rural decline significantly contributed to the overall shortage of homes for sale, which was down 34% year over year to a 4-week rolling average of. And this number just blows me away. This is a national number, right? Am I reading this wrong, Ray? 528,903 weekly active listings nationally.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at too. That seems short.
That seems a little short. Nationally, I don't know if you guys know, but we have a nation full of 50 states. So that's roughly 50,000 listings per state. That's it. That's all you get. I mean, think about that.
Isn't that like closer to 100,000? No, that's okay. I see what you did. Okay.
You just take off the
Is that what you did?
Or is it 100,000? I don't know. Do the math.
Somebody.
Wait, hold on. I did the math wrong. I'm doing it live. 5, 2, 8, 1, 2, 3.
10,000.
There you go. 10. That's even worse. I'm an optimist, so I was trying to make it better. That's even worse. 10,000 listings per state. What the heck? It's time to freak out. By the way, we are not alarmists here on the Bearded Man Real Estate Show podcast and live hosts of Clubhouse and YouTubes. But dude, that's crazy.
Northwest Arkansas says market's necessary. We're at 630 actives, 1,644 this week last year. That's down almost 62%. Doug Johnson chimes in. Hey, Doug, haven't seen you guys in a long time. Doug says that we have 145 resale listings in all of Ada County, D1 Training, Boise.
Attaboy County.
Is it Ada County?
Wow.
Ada County?
In an entire county, 145.
Right. And if you're just joining us on Clubhouse, if you want to say something, just raise your hand. I'll put you out there. If you're already on the speaker panel, then you can just tap your mic and I'll see that and I can bring you up live and we can talk to you. But yeah, this is an insanely low amount. Okay, so Doug says ADA. Do you say that you just
Ada County?
Ada County. Well, all he did was capitalize it. So I think I should say each letter now, right? ADA, or is he saying like hard, like Ada?
Ada. I think he's being very aggressive with you. It's Ada.
Come on, yelling. Okay, so Douglas County, 28 single family listings, says Adam Johnson.
Whew.
Wow.
Here, let me go. I'm gonna. There's a final quote. So this is from Redfin chief economist Daryl Fairweather. He said the scarcity of rural and suburban homes for sale is driving the overall housing supply shortage. Many homeowners are staying put, and homes in those neighborhoods are snapped up as soon as they're listed for sale. Homes in rural and suburban areas remain popular as the Rona and remote work continue to motivate buyers to prioritize indoor and outdoor space over commute times and urban amenities. So here's where I ramped up. I did a 10-mile search from where I'm sitting right now, 10-mile search, 10-mile radius search from where I'm sitting right now. We're closing roughly over the last 3 months, closing 462 listings a month, and there's 246 active right now.
Wow.
So
how is that happening? So we could kind of talk a little bit. I was in a Clubhouse room the other day and they were talking about the shortage of inventory. So one tip that I picked up from this group that I thought was pretty good is one lady made a list of all the available lots for sale. And she began circulating that list to all the builders that she knew and networking with builders and talking to them about building and why to build and telling them this market information. So now our Bearded Men of Real Estate listeners, armed with this article and market information combined with her strategy, I mean, this is like a match made in heaven to help control the inventory and increase the inventory. I mean, a lot of us look at the housing shortage and say, okay, it's a new market. How can we make money? What can we do? But I think we should turn that and say, okay, there's a housing shortage right now. How can we as realtors help solve it?
Right.
And the way to help solve it is by contacting everyone we know, making sure that they know that there's an average of 10,000 listings per state.
Dude. And after Dan corrected the math, yes.
After we corrected the math. And because there's such a shortage of inventory, we as real estate agents need to do all we can to educate the public and educate other real estate agents and educate the builders and educate landholders that are hanging on. Like we all know someone that's hanging on to a piece of land saying, well, one day I'm going to cash out on this when the price is right. The price is probably right. Right. If inventory starts to increase, then the price that folks will be able to get for this land is going to eventually go down. So by partnering with developers, builders, people that have the land, and then starting those projects and building them now, you could help solve this issue in 6 to 9 months. But we as real estate agents have to be active, both with that strategy and with the strategy of door knocking, going door to door, sending mailers, doing circle prospecting, posting online, posting on social media. Like this would be a great thing to post on your Instagram story, and be sure to tag us, or on your in your Instagram or on Facebook or whatever, saying, hey, did you know that there's an average of 10,000 listings per state that are available right now for how many people are in the US? Like 6 billion, something like that?
322 million.
That's only that. Okay. Not 6 billion people in the world, right? Yeah. Something like
7.5 billion people in the world.
Well, I haven't counted lately.
I'm still counting, but I'm stopping at 7.5 billion.
That's right. So I think it's a good tip finding the land that's available in your area, circulating that to builders and developers, trying to be that matchmaker and trying to help solve this housing crisis. Maybe partner with local banks and partner with some construction lenders or lenders that would give home loans for spec homes and new construction and custom home builders, and see if you can create a partnership to help you pay for some of this advertising so that they also get the benefit. The co-marketing, instead of helping them buy or getting them to help you buy Zillow, why don't you get them to help outreach to the builders and developers in the community and the people in the land? See if you can be the cog in the wheel that solves the inventory shortage in your area.
So now I have a question. So if interest rates are at an all-time low, which helps affordability, right?
Yeah.
And sales prices are up, meaning sales prices are up, and that equity that home owners are sitting on is up, all-time highs.
Right.
What's holding people back from selling? At this point, we're a year into the Rona. It can't be the concern from the Rona at this point anymore, right? Like we have, and if it is, it's our job to get out and go, look, we have places, procedures in place where people have to wear masks, have to wear booties, have to clean their hands, and only 2 people or 3 people in the house at a time. Like, what's really holding this back? Because 10,000 listings per state is extreme. Or are people just refinancing and holding on to that equity? Because if we're at again, I keep saying it, we're kind of at a false peak here, where at any minute that top of the peak could start going down. So if you're a seller that's waiting and waiting, I think you're making a mistake. I really do. So what's really holding us back from getting almost a flood of inventory? I know there's a ton of people that would love to sell right now. So what is it? I'm asking Clubhouse, I'm asking YouTube, I'm asking all of them.
Yeah, that would be a great question for the Clubhouse. If any of you guys want to chime in, just blink your mic or raise your hand. I can add you to the discussion. I see Marcus Necessary blinked. Maybe that was on purpose, maybe not, but we'll go to him live. Marcus?
Yeah, that was on purpose. So from what I'm hearing from a lot of folks and when I'm talking to agents, just looking for some pocket inventory, is that sellers are afraid to get pushed into homelessness, for lack of a better term, on what they're going to do after they put their house on the market.
So it's not knowing where they're going, right? So they're selling and totally unsure of, okay, let's say I sell and have a big windfall, then what? Is that right, Marcus?
Yeah, exactly. So then what? So then what do we do? Because now we got it sold, we made a bunch of money, but now where do we go?
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Well, Matt's going to go live in the Tesla, so he's got that covered.
Yeah, Matt Clinton says, and maybe I can sell the house and live in the Tesla. Yeah, Caroline might not approve. I bet your dog wouldn't approve either. Christian Harris says, just pinged some RE friends in the Clubhouse room. Thanks, buddy. And David, hey, David, he says, David Fresquez, he says, they don't want the chance of losing property. They don't want to chance losing. There's a little typo, but I think I understand what you're saying. They don't want a chance losing the property they had, not being able to find something else, right? And then Clayton Fernando Strim says, I have to sell my house to buy a house. I wouldn't sell because there's nothing to buy. Clayton Fernando Strims goes on to say a bridge loan is about the only thing that can that runs its own risks. Joanna White, she's chimed in. She's a Pixel agent right here in Central Arkansas, says, this is happening to me. 2 sellers want to get their equity out, but don't have anywhere to go. Adam said, rent back.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a smart move.
I just did one of those for some clients.
A smart move is to refi and buy a fractional luxury home with Picasso. I wonder how that's doing. If you don't know what he's checking out, if you don't know what he's talking about, just go check out Picasso, Pacaso. Clayton says, how can you rent back with the buyer when the buyer has to get in because they're homeless? Yeah, that's true too. Eric B. Henry is joining us via Facebook. He said, did the new Democratic power at the top cause people to question the future economy? Are people scared with Democrats having control of the House, state, Senate, and presidency? Well, I'll take this one. As a fairly strong conservative, I don't think that's the case at all. I think
we're only 2 weeks into this. So what prevented them all last year while things were booming?
Well, I think people tend to look and say, well, we would love to sell, but we don't know where to go.
Yeah.
So here's my solve for this problem. And we've been doing this for a couple of years now. Anytime we have a buyer that doesn't know where to go or can't find a home, you find the areas they want to go, and then you hit those areas really, really hard. Becky Tanner, who's an agent in the marketplace, showed me something when I restarted real estate in 2013. I was having trouble with a buyer making a decision, and she said, you should tell your buyer that every house has a wrinkle, a pimple, and a smile. They buy the house for the smile, they work on the pimple, and they just live with the wrinkle. And I think it's good advice to share with our clients right now, because they're not going to find a perfect home. So what we do is we find the areas that they're looking for, the type of home, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, that may be as specific as we can get, maybe home levels, right? And then we go and say, okay, so you want to sell your house. Where do you want to live? And then we go and we try to find that other option first. And in that scenario, it could be an ideal situation because you're knocking on the door of someone who's not as prepared to move, and they may need additional time, which in this scenario, they could have all the additional they need. Right. And then once that person's like, yes, I'm ready to move, maybe they had an agent friend, or maybe you then did the same thing with them, said, hey, I have a friend that wants to buy your house, or a client that wants to buy your house. And they say, yeah, we will sell our house, but we don't have anywhere to go. So what do? The same thing. You ask them, well, where would you want to live? I'll go door knock those neighborhoods too. And so you go and you door knock, you find them a home. Eventually you have this little chain that starts closing, and then just all down the pipe, homes that are sold before listed, sold before listed, sold before listed. I think that's a great strategy to market, door knock, mail, do videos, do whatever you can to attack those neighborhoods on behalf of your client and let them know, I've got a family that wants to live here. Do you know if any of your neighbors, or have you thought about selling?
Yeah.
And see what you can find. And for us as real estate agents, being that matchmaker, communicating to people that there are buyers out there, you'll start to see more signs pop up in yards if you start to do activity like that.
Well, and think about the benefit for your seller. If they are worried about the Rona, they don't have to have a bunch of people come trample through their house. Like my newest listing I put on last week had 50 showings this week. My clients they're younger. They're not concerned about it at all. But if they were, that's a lot of people coming through your house in a weekend, in Saturday and Sunday. So if they are, I got a buyer for you right now. Boom, we can open escrow. It's a one-party show, and we open escrow. So there are the benefits there. It's just we got to be extra creative here. Although I don't know if creativity abounds in the real estate world, Ray.
Just there's some. Adam Johnson brings up an interesting point, but I'm going to argue with it. He said, homeless buyers aren't the problem. I rep the seller. They are only your problem if those homeless buyers don't want to put an offer in on your property because they would be homeless.
Well, and also if they can't move in and they don't have a place to go, what are they going to do? They're going to have to back out unless they're locked into a contract that says you have to stay homeless.
Yeah. Bern McGovern.
Wait. Hold on. Before you get into this client, Bern, can I say thank you? You were a great meme over the last couple of weeks, sitting in that chair with the mittens on. I just want to say thank you, dude.
Different Bern. Different. This is totally different.
Oh, so there's not only one Bern. I thought there was just one Bern. I'm sorry.
No, you're talking about Bernie. He never became the president, whereas a McGovern did.
Hey, can I also say then maybe it's this guy? I'm
going to look this up now.
I think he ran. I don't think he became president. But then can I say thank you for the movie? The Weekend at Your House was awesome.
George McGovern. He was an American politician, historian, representative, Democratic Party presidential nominee. He did not become president, which is I guess akin to Bernie. All right, So let's keep going. He said, Mike Bern McGovern said, yeah, he's lost. He says he has no idea about the Bernie meme. Man, you got to look that up. He said, my client put an offer on a house, but the seller insisted on a 6-month contingency to find a replacement property. If they didn't find one, then they wouldn't sell. Trying to buy a home with a home to sell is impossible in our market. So my buyer walked. The listing agent didn't know what she was doing. It's frustrating. Yeah, I mean, there comes a point where we have to try to represent our clients and do what they want to do. I mean, I've had situations where my sellers didn't understand it. I'm explaining it to them when I'm blue in the face. And at the end of the day, if that's what they want to do, I got to put that in the contract, even though I've consulted with them and told them not to. Not only that, as I represent them, when I present that to you, I have to sell it to you like it's the best thing since sliced bread. Like I can't let you think that I know this is totally stupid, because that doesn't serve my client.
Right. Yeah, still have to be honest.
Give the other agent a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but maybe they didn't know what they were doing. I have seen 30 and 60-day contingencies. I was visiting with the seller locally, and they said, well, yeah, I'll sell, but I need 60 days to move. So I told them, well, you could get a 30-day contingency, and you may have 30 days to close on the loan. So that would be 60 days.
Right.
but we'd have to negotiate that 30 days. And in order to negotiate that, there would have to be some benefit given the buyer in exchange for that 30-day period. It may not be rent. It may be a lower price point, maybe more concessions as far as closing costs goes. It may be taking care of them in a different way, but there would have to be something because it's not as attractive as them being able to close and move in 30 days. But yeah, that's a good word. And Bern, are you in Clubhouse? I think I see your icon there in Clubhouse too. So I'd be happy to bring you up there if you want to raise your hand there.
And by the way, I think it's also kind of, it has to go into how we guide our clients into, or educate our clients on which offer to accept, as you have those conversations about all the offers, because we present everything, right? We had one, so we just accepted an offer this morning, and we had one that wrote a very aggressive time frame of an offer, like we can close quick. And I'm like, we don't want to close quick. So part of it is you kind of got to gauge, how interested what did they do in their original offer? How aggressive were they? But also, like, how open are they to, because we have to now go find a house, and I've already told my clients, like, we get a 2.5 week window. But how committed do these buyers seem? Will they put up with this? And you have to have that conversation with the other agent, but that's part of it. And, you also have to have the ability to kind of predict a smooth escrow. We had one, an offer that was 15 grand over the other ones. We didn't go with the higher offer because it won't appraise that high. So you got to kind of navigate these things. And I think that's part of the magic or the art behind being an agent and guiding your clients through that. Like, hey, it's great to get that high offer. It won't appraise. And they also wrote very aggressive timeframes where they want to be in this house in 26 days. Like, well, it's not going to happen. We're not going to, even if, your loan still, it's tough to close them in 26 days right now with appraisals and all that thing taking longer. So I think there's a lot of art and magic to what we do right now.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we have time for one more article, so we're going to have to punt the $15,000 tax credit, unfortunately. I have a 9-week-old puppy, and his bladder is running short.
Yeah.
So this question is, will the work-from-home trend affect the housing market after the pandy? So now that
the WFH, that's what it's been coined.
Yeah, when I saw WFH, I was like, what does that mean? I don't know WFH. I was thinking like WT. I don't know.
I immediately went to white effing house. I'm all, yeah, that's what we could call it.
All right. So now that several vaccines have been distributed and hospitalizations appear on the decline, many areas, we can start thinking about life after the pandy. I'm interested to see what habits and cultural shifts stay with us and what may, well, this article I'm going to skip their narrative here. I just want to go to the graph. A growing share of U.S. employees work from home. As you can see from the graph there, the sources are the IP, UMS, USA, and authors' calculations. So the data are full-time employees who usually work from home from the period of 1980 to 2017.
So am I reading that right? In 1980, it was about 0.5%.
Right. It was about 0.5% of people, and now it's at an all-time high and still growing. Percentage of telecommunicators in metropolitan areas are still growing by a huge amount of percentage. You can find this article, by the way, at Housing Wire. So if you're on Clubhouse or something like that and want to follow along, just look for the Housing Wire article about the WFH trend. But I kind of wanted the opinion, like there's the article, you can go and read it if you want to, but I think as real estate agents, I want the opinion of other agents in the area, or not in our area, but in our industry. So I want to know from those of you who are watching, Howard Bosley checking in. Hey man, how are you? I'd love to hear what's going on in your neck of the woods. He is one of the viewers that make us an international show as he's in Israel.
We have two. We have Italy and Israel. So we're international.
Yeah, international. And we also have a lot of Canadians that check in too, which is cool. But I'm interested to hear what
we have Texas. That's its own thing. That's international. Yeah, there we go.
In Cali now. I'm interested to hear what our listeners on Clubhouse and the podcast and what the viewers think. Is the work from home trend here to stay, or is this something that'll kind of self-correct after several months? I think Dan Mack, I think he was here early. He said yes and then no. So I think his feelings were that yes, it would have an immediate impact and stick around for a while, and then no, it would eventually go away and would not be with us anymore once things returned to normal.
I don't know. It's a two-part thing, because I think you've said it best, Ray, and not to pull from your point of view, but is the actual productivity going to remain the same? Now we're almost a year into of people working from home. So is the productivity the same? So if it's not, it's inevitable that it's going to go back to, you need to be here in the office because we have that a-hole middle management guy that pushes everyone and gets results. But at home, you don't have that. You have the kids, you have the puppy, you have the, the Netflix is right there. So is productivity still the same, or is it higher because people are happier at home? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a work from home balance, which is where our thumbnail came from. So if you're just joining the show and you haven't seen the thumbnail, follow us on Instagram, Ray Zorback or D Ludwig Rocks. Ray Zorback spelled RayZorback. Or if you're in the Clubhouse, you can just click my face and then click the account, and you can see it. I've got it in the stories there. I think that there's a lot of people that are gonna, you know how we have Zoom fatigue. You remember that? People are like, "Oh, I got another Zoom. I got another Zoom," and there was a Zoom fatigue. And especially with school kids, we're just starting to go to school via Zoom and the remote learning. I think there will be a work from home fatigue. And I think people will say, I've been doing this for a while. My kids come home at weird hours now. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. I've got a 9-week-old puppy that's like yelping to be let out right now. So there's all these work from home factors. It's not quiet, right? My kids have to practice piano. And when they're practicing piano and I'm trying to call clients and talk to them, I just basically say, "Hey, sorry, working from home. My kids are playing piano." And usually it's not a big deal, but it's also not ideal because it's distracting. And I think the distractions add up to a lot of lost productivity. Years ago, it was like in our first year of doing the show, Yahoo got a new president. Yahoo.com. Yahoo.
Yeah.
That new president allowed a ton of the employees to work from home. And when they did, they sent them all home. And one of the things I said was, "Hey, eventually I think these guys are going to have to go back to work because the productivity is not going to be the same." And that's what happened. After a while, they said, "Okay, let's bring everybody back in." There were the open office. You remember that for a couple of years? It was like this big move to totally open offices. And then everyone realized how completely distracting that was. And so now it's an opposite thing where, yes, you're in this open office and you have this little cubicle that's totally closed off. Dusty Martin checks in. She says, "I'm already over it. I've always worked from home, but I left for meetings and classes and appointments. Now I just stand at my computer all freaking day."
Yeah.
So yes, let's see. Howard says in Israel, they're saying a higher number of mental health issues. That's interesting. They're at 30% vaccinations already,
but still isn't opening up yet.
Yeah, still isn't opening up. He says schools are trying to open. We're in the third lockdown. Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, I think people are going to have the work from home, and I'd love to hear what some of you in the Clubhouse think. Just flash your mic and I'll bring you up. But I don't think work from home is going to last. I think, I've set up a pretty elaborate studio here so that I could work from home as much as possible. And I intend to maintain the studio. It's really great for video shoots. And, once my kids go to bed and everybody's asleep, I can do stuff in here, and that's great. But I don't think I'll be working from home every single day in the future. I think having an office is good and smart and good for productivity.
So for those of you that are viewers, I don't know if you can tell by looking at me, but I'm not an office guy.
Really?
I'm more of a casual guy. So I've never worked in an office. I have gone to an office, but I don't prefer it. So this is kind of ideal for me. But it is just, I was just telling Ray this morning, there were things that I just couldn't do, trying to do the normal work stuff and get the kids going for homeschool and feed them and all that stuff. And then yesterday making my calls, it was, Channy's coming home, the daughters need something. And I'm just like, I'm on my calls. Mojo's ringing right now. Like, so I get it. But I want to bring up another point too, is the cost for these companies to have these large buildings, if they own the building or if they lease the building. But you have costs like, all the utilities, obviously the monthly lease amount, the rent amount, all that stuff. They're offsetting that cost right now. If they don't have to do it and they're still getting relatively high productivity, won't they stay that way?
Yeah, it could. But I don't think so. I think over time, it'll just wear on people.
Yeah, I do agree. I just think there's a lot of factors that, and by the way, I do have some numbers. Let's just say Elizabeth's comment.
Yeah, it's probably Elizabeth. I think the jobs and how we perform them have been changing the advance of technologies. Perhaps COVID just propelled society to where we were going faster. I prefer to work around other people who are working. But in a job like real estate, where some agents are in the office and some aren't, I don't see that changing back.
Yeah.
I can see more cloud offices opening up here.
Yeah.
Howard says definitely not every single day. Hybrid situation. I think that's smart.
There you go.
Utilities are turned off. The employees are paying for it at home.
Right. So I thought that, what was that stat on there, Ray? We're at 4% roughly, but that looked like it ended in 2016 or 17.
Yeah, it did. I was looking for, that's why I didn't stay long on the article. I thought it was an interesting point to bring up and talk about, but I couldn't find the existing stats of how many people were working from home.
Well, I just did a quick search, percentage of work from home Americans. And this one was from December 21st from flexjobs.com. And it says, according to Upwork, 41.8% of the American workforce continues to work remotely. Obviously, that's affected by the Rona. Although an estimated 26.7 will still be working from home through 2021, 36.2 Americans, or 22% of the workforce, will be working remotely by 2025.
Let's get to some comments in Clubhouse. Christian Harris actually commented and said, I'm flashing my mic like crazy, but every time I look down, it's like steady there. So I didn't see
You're just missing it.
Just now he's doing it on purpose. Okay, so let's get to Christian Harris' comments on this. Go ahead, Christian. Let me unmute you and mute there.
Hello. I think you're wrong, Ray. I think to a degree, it's going to stay remote, or at least a sector of the economy. Obviously I don't have any numbers on the stats of efficiency, but, I know at least here in Seattle, where it's, an urban center, all of my listings in the last year have been people moving out of Seattle because they can work remotely from home. They don't have to be within commuting distance. They can afford more house out in the suburbs or somewhere else in the country. And I think just kind of the flexibility that provides. And then, if businesses don't have to provide as much office space, because let's face it, I mean, at least in real estate, the most productive agents I know typically aren't the ones in the office, circling around the water cooler. But obviously that's, very culture dependent on individual brokerages. But, and then you've seen the explosion of, virtual brokerages because, agents would rather trade their time, money, location for, making more money than paying high overhead at traditional brokerages. So I don't know. I think that coupled with, we've seen at least enough of a shift with how we've been conditioned that even when Rona is not a big thing, I think there's going to be a certain sector of the population that's still going to wear masks because they're just afraid. They're just cautious. Yeah. And I think working remotely might be part of that new conditioning.
Good word. Maybe a permanent condition, but I'm wondering, is that going to open up opportunities for satellite offices? Like, let's say you have this really cool company in Silicon Valley. They just, half their workforce just moved around the countries to what were formerly Airbnbs, which are now people like, if I'm going to do this work from home thing, I'm going to do it right. And they're like living on the beach or in Colorado, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a ton of people doing that type of thing, do you guys think that eventually companies will have these tiny satellite offices in these communities and just a small office where people can go in and connect with their company and then leave, or maybe even a joint work area with other offices that are similar industries?
Yeah, like a smaller WeWork vibe.
Yeah, but it's
where
kind of
you partner with 2 or 3 companies, but not. WeWork was big and wide open, which great in theory, but this is smaller, less costs.
I'd like to, Dave. Dave, are you in the chat? Flash your mic if you're because I don't want to bring you up here. All right, Dave's ready. So, Dave, I want your opinion on this, in part because you're like the Inman News Person of the Year, so you could tell us what that means too. But go ahead, Dave.
But anyway, I appreciate you bringing me on. This is a cool format. I am watching on Facebook, so because I was not aware of your podcast. So cool format, and I like how you're weaving together all the platforms. I know for us, like. The Gardner report just came out. Matthew Gardner is our Windermere's economist. I own a Windermere abode in Tacoma with my wife. When we looked at the annual change in home sales, like Lewis County, Grays Harbor County, and Christian know these, but these are counties that are outside of. These are all rural, not rural, but they are rural. They're outside of the corridor, the I-5 corridor, which is where Seattle and Tacoma and all these places are. So we've seen an influx of people leaving the urban areas and going out into more rural areas. And so that's just kind of what we've seen. And so as far as working from home, I mean, maybe those people move all back in, but I honestly don't know. But that's trend in Q4 for us.
Unmute.
All right, unmute. So one of the things that, and sorry for those of you in the Clubhouse, get the live listen because I don't have a condenser mic on my phone, so you get to hear my little puppy in the background there. But one of the things that we talked about a couple of weeks ago is that home buyers were purchasing houses outside of the dense urban areas, but still in the suburbs that were in the same zip code. So they weren't really leaving.
They were going that far, like originally.
Right. So that kind of bodes. It kind of agrees with this point that Dave made, and also the point that that the article makes as well. So we do have, let's see, Joanna. Is it Jonna or Johanna? She joined the chat. I'd like to get her from Clubhouse to hear what she has to say too. So go ahead.
A work from home thing is it's going to be a bit of a modified, like maybe work from home 3 days a week, go into the office 2 days a week. And I think offices may be modified to, I guess, let that or make that happen. I'm taking Amazon as an example, who have let their employees know you never have to go in if you don't want to. But they've already started, even before COVID, an open office, or I guess open desk program where 30% of the workforce weren't assigned a desk because they knew they were going to be roaming or whatever. But I think there's still going to be housing need for a home office, and then they still will go in the office for the collaboration connection a couple days a week, or at least that's what my buyers are talking about.
That's kind of what Howard was saying, like a hybrid of sorts, where you can go in and out of the office. So I would agree with that. I think that's probably where we're headed. It's kind of like all good, everything's good in moderation type of thing. I think the work from home fatigue is setting in. People want somewhere to go a couple of days a week. But I think there's also a lot of people that kind of enjoy the additional family time and life with your people, right?
Yeah.
And by your stuff and your whiny puppy in the background. So I think that goes a long way for people.
Well,
Dave,
and
flash your mic. Are you agreeing, or you want to say something? Here, let me get to Dave real quick.
I wanted to add too, because our office is different in the sense that we are an open office. I heard Matt say something about that. We are an open office, so through this, we actually just subleased an extra space because we know once we open up, our brokers are going to want to come back in. And so that's something that we're preparing for. But I do agree that I think it's going to be some type of a hybrid, like Johanna said. I know for me, it's driving me nuts. I do like to be in our office so we can, but I'm coming from an owner standpoint, so I want to interface with our people, and help them and know what's going on. But yeah, for some people they like it, but it's driving me nuts. So anyway, I'm ready to get back to regular life.
I would agree with that. I want to keep meeting with my people, but at the same time, I don't want to wear them out, because I'm always like, hey guys, let's get together on Zoom. Hey guys, let's do this on Zoom. And they're like, oh my God. Right. We should just go out to eat more because you have the invisible force field from Corona whenever you sit down. You can take off
but you have to sit outside, inside, as long as outside is in. No, inside is outside. You're fine.
That's only in those big cities, bro.
Right. But if you have, I wanted to make one last point because I do have friends and clients that before this they've worked remotely and they have to be on their computer, like physically, and the company can ping them and check. So I think that's a added level of it. I don't know. I would just lean towards, I think it'll stay relatively similar to now.
Interesting. Okay. Well, my dog really has got to go. So that means it's time to end the show. I'm going to hang out in Clubhouse while I walk my dog. So if you're in Clubhouse now and you want to have a deeper conversation about any of these topics or just kind of figure out how we did this, welcome to stay. But thank you guys for joining us. You can find me at Ray Zorback. That's RayZorback on the gram. And Dan is D Ludwig Rocks, LUDWIGROCKS.
Yes.
Yep. Be sure to follow. Nice. We got a scammer right at the end here. There you go.
Nice. Clayton, there you go, buddy.
$5,000 cash app right to you there. Anyway, so thanks everybody for joining us. We appreciate it. And be sure to check out the show. Those of you who did comment on Clubhouse, go back to either YouTube or Facebook or both and drop a comment and drop a note. So the people that found you and heard you on the podcast can go back to the show and connect with you. If there are other agents around the country that have referrals, they could do that. Or if they just want to say hi. So thank you guys. We'll see you later.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.